Hello, and officially welcome everyone to our live podcast with Dr. Lisa Thompson and the topic of the alchemy of loss, turning pain into purpose. And before we started the recording, I was just saying how timely this conversation is. I know not everyone's going to be listening today or in the next month, even, but when you do listen to this, of course, it's always divine timing. So, welcome to the Evolve podcast. I am Tanya Stevens, and I am a mind body healing guide, a spiritual mentor, author of the Connect with the Divine You book and journals, and creator of the Evolve Self Healing Method. And again, we are welcoming Dr. Lisa Thompson today and talking about the alchemy of loss, turning pain into purpose. So, a little bit about Lisa for those of you that are new. So, Lisa is a globally recognized leader in multidimensional awakening, who has helped thousands of individuals activate their highest potential and step into their soul-aligned purpose. She is the best-selling author, speaker, and founder of the Infinity Healing Method, an energy healing certification for healers. Dr. Lisa has many best-selling books, including her recently published Through Loss into Light, a journey of grief, healing, and the love that remains. As a galactic ambassador and multidimensional channeler, Dr. Lisa communicates with 13 higher dimensional ET races, primarily the Arcturian Uluru, bringing through transformative galactic wisdom and healing frequencies to support humanity's ascension. Her teachings help you to clear energy blocks, release limitations, and unlock more of your unique spiritual gifts so that you can live with greater clarity, purpose, and power. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here with us today and on short notice.
I'm glad I can be here with you, Tanya. I always love conversations with you.
I love our conversations too, and this one gets to be with everyone, not just us two. So we'll see what comes out today. But just first of all, we have your book that was just published that we're talking about from loss into light. And yay! And I did put the link in the chat in case you want to grab a copy of that, whether it's on Kindle or paperback. And in case you just popped on, I don't know if everybody can see it, if you come on after I put it in there or not. So I'm just going to pop it in the chat one more time. And we know that the holidays are coming and it can make loss even more difficult during this time of year. So I'm really, just really grateful that you're here and that you are so vulnerable in your sharing, which, definitely those who have been reading your book know that and have experienced that. So where should we start? I think maybe you talk about grief as a spiritual initiation. So I would love to hear a little bit more about that and how it's a catalyst for awakening, can be a catalyst for awakening.
Well, so the I'll just give a little backstory that helps to
Please
get
do.
into that answer. So, my husband Skip, who the book is about, he passed away. He committed suicide September 15th, 2023. It's completely out of the blue. There were no signs that anything like that would ever have happened. And at that point in my life, like he was my third husband, but he was the love of my life. And so we had been together for 8 years. And before I met him, I had to do some really deep dive healing of myself because I had a series of toxic relationships over and over and over, like my entire life. So I did deep dive healing and cleared out, some of the stuff that needed to be cleared out. And then I met him. And when we met, I didn't have my spiritual business yet. I was spiritual. I've been on a deep spiritual journey for almost 40 years. I'll be 53 in December. And so we met in the real estate industry
Mm.
and completely different than the work that I do now. I had a home staging interior design business, and he was a mortgage banker. And so we met in this very 3D kind of reality in Olympia, Washington. But I did have a couple of tests for him when we started becoming friends and dating, because I was deeply spiritual. And my former husband, prior to him, had been like very adamantly against my spirituality. And so I had to make sure that Skip was at least going to be okay to come along on this ride. But a couple years into our relationship, I had this calling that I really needed to step into my real purpose being here, which is as a spiritual teacher and healer. And so the first modality that I got trained in was past life regression therapy. And then I added on human design and sound healing. And then 5 years ago, Skip and I, we moved from Olympia, Washington, here to Hawaii, to the Big Island. And things majorly shifted when we moved here, because although I had stepped into my role in the spiritual realm and had started my spiritual business, I hadn't come out of the proverbial closet of being galactic. And so for those watching, you see the ETs behind me. I have been an experiencer contacting my entire life, but I was hiding that side of myself to be taken seriously in my very mainstream careers that I had. So just over 4 years ago, I decided to start a UFO tour under my spiritual business and really start sharing my stories. And Skip, he was a believer, but he was way more into the 3D realm of the UFO phenomena. And so I was the presenter for the tours. He didn't want to like be the presenter at all, but he wanted me to stay to a very 3D script of the science, the
Mm,
government disclosure, and just the basics like that. Where my calling was to talk about the higher dimensional spiritual aspects of our galactic family and to really help people connect in that way. And so we started the tour summer of 2021. So a couple of years into doing the tour, even though he was supportive of it, he was still like there was some push pull going on. After I would share, we'd be driving home, and he's like, "I really wish you would stop saying this kind of stuff." And so I'm like, "But I need to." And beginning of 2023 is when the full channeling came on. It was 2022 when I started channeling Arcturian Uluru, who actually is just another aspect of myself. But then in 2023, before he passed, 12 additional groups came through. And it was starting to get, I think, a little too weird for him in some
mm,
ways. And so, we a couple months before he passed away, we went to Peru for 2 weeks, where it was what I called my ancient alien tour of Peru. And these megalithic structures, our tour guide, Alvaro, he was talking about, the fake story of, oh yeah, they rolled these massive stones up the hill on logs, and I'm calling BS. And Skip was getting really mad that I'm calling BS to him. And I'm like, what about the ancient aliens? And Skip, he was really mad. But Al was super cool. He pulls me aside. He's like, yeah, that's actually what I know to be true. And it completely shifted the way that our trip went.
mm,
We got back from the trip. There was a TV show that wanted to come and film me doing one of my tours, and the spiritual side of it, the meditative journey with the sound bowls and all that. And Skip didn't want to have any part of it at all. And so it was like this rift was getting a little wider. And I mean, we still deeply loved each other, but we were not on the same page anymore, like we had been when we first met. So then I'm the day that he died, I was actually halfway into leading a galactic retreat here on the island. I had rented condos, and so I wasn't even staying here at the house. And he had texted me earlier that evening that he wanted to come over to the condo after our night sky watch. And so when we got done with the night sky watch, I text him, okay, I'm done, come over. Then he's not answering. So I'm trying to call him. He's not answering the phone. And then I realized, oh, I need to go home anyway. The condos are 5 minutes away, but I needed to get eggs for the morning to cook for my retreat people. So I come home and discover him. And so my world completely shifted in that moment. Um, no matter how deeply spiritual we are, when you find someone, especially in the dramatic way he did it, so he shot himself. And so coming home to that with no clue that anything like that was ever going to happen, it just completely, I'm like, wow.
I can't imagine.
So
Yeah,
I'm just
that you
glad
be
it was
shocked.
me. Yeah, and not my daughter that found him because I don't think she would have been able to handle that emotionally. So then after, he gets taken away. Fortunately, I was able to go back to the condo. I didn't have to stay at my house. Went back to the condo, and I just remember laying starfished on the bed. And I'm asking my team, my spirit team, galactics, angels, all of them. I'm like, please help me process this. And so, what I experienced when I asked was this blue swirling energy moving all around the bedroom. I could see the blue, and then I could feel all of this energy. So they went to work right away on me and my nervous system. And I wake up in the morning and I was sad, but like I was calm. I had this very calm presence about me. And the ladies had given me space. They were in the other condo that morning. And so I'm out on the lanai and there were these trees in front of me. And I'm just talking to the trees. And I'm like, did it really have to be this extreme in order for me? Because I knew that this really put me on a massive timeline, like anchored me onto my timeline of being a galactic ambassador. Um, and so I'm like, did it really have to be this extreme? And the very clear answer I got back was yes. So it wasn't that he necessarily had to die, but he wasn't going to be able to be in my life anymore in one way or another. And so that's the way that this agreement chose to be the exit
because
point.
because the rift was already there, and on some level,
Yeah,
it wasn't going to be repairable.
right.
And probably part of him knew that.
Yeah.
Is that the information that came through?
Yeah. Well, and now, it's been 2 years, and I've had probably 10 or 11 different psychic mediums be able to bring him through to share whatever he wanted to share. And they all had very similar messages, which was he was sharing with them that he couldn't support me in the physical realm the way I needed to be supported. He could do so much more from the other side. And the other thing he said through again multiple of them, he's like, how I was kind of on the fence about everything that you do and understand. He's like, it's all real. I'm so proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing.
Um,
And so part of this grief healing and spiritual initiation was number one, realizing, okay, this was a soul contract agreement that we had. He could only get me so far into my mission, and then it was going to be time. He actually needed to get me here to Hawaii. I know that.
I'm
And
getting the chills. Yeah.
yeah, to be able to do my work. So and because we are multidimensional beings and the body might perish, but the soul doesn't. And so he is still there. Like I had a book launch party this weekend that you were invited to, Tanya. But that day in the kitchen, he showed up. He showed up the night before. He showed up in the kitchen that day. So like his energy is still around. And
So
And
I know people are going to want to know this, right? People whose loved ones have passed, right? How do you know when the person is there?
yeah,
I know it
well,
could be different
so
for everyone, but yeah, I'm just would love
yeah,
for you to share about that. Yeah.
yeah. Well, and I share some of the ways that he came through for me. And when I knew, when I was like, okay, I know, I know you're there. And then I also have a, a healing companion thing that goes with my book for people to understand for themselves different signs and synchronicities. But so Skip, so he was a mortgage banker in Olympia. And when we moved here to Hawaii, he was still doing mortgage up until about a year before he passed. And then he switched careers. So he didn't want to be in mortgage anymore. He ended up working for Terminix as a um, home inspector and sales guy. Now, a couple weeks after he passed, so our bedroom was the Ohana, which has a bathroom. It's a little studio. And within a several hour period, there were 9 of the massive cockroaches showing up in my Ohana bathroom. Now, I know, Tanya, you know, those big ones, they don't group together like that. And it wasn't an infestation. But so I was like, okay, my best
Wow.
friend Jen from Olympia, she was staying with me for the first 3 weeks after he passed. I'm like, Jen, come check this out with these cockroaches. And so for me, I get a lot of messages through animals because I really resonate with animals. Like my PhD is in zoology, marine biology. And so what I did was I looked up spiritual meaning of cockroaches.
That's what I would have done. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then, so if you think about cockroaches, they are indestructible. They are survivors. They can survive microwaves and nuclear war. So he was coming through to tell me, I am a survivor. I will survive this. And as soon as I acknowledged the cockroaches and their meaning, there were no more cockroaches. It was like the sign had to be like it had to be in my face.
Well, and
So
once you get it, then it doesn't necessarily need to be there anymore.
right. Or it comes randomly. And so when I say he was in my kitchen on Saturday, well, there was one lone big cockroach just crawling around the kitchen floor the whole time I'm in there cooking for the party. And I knew it was him.
And just so people know, cockroaches typically don't come out in the light. They like the dark. So that it
Yeah.
was hanging out with you in the kitchen, where I'm
Yes.
sure there was tons of light, is
Oh, yeah.
pretty unusual.
Yes. And okay, so you know, my friend Isaiah, who he had been over at the house the night before, and we saw this massive energy presence out in the courtyard because we were getting it ready for the party. And so we knew that was him as well. But
What did it
so
look
when I
like? Like, what did it look like when you say you saw a massive energy?
okay, so it was like luminescent,
Mhm.
big energy, and about as big as up to the gutters of my house.
Wow.
And I had seen something similar on the beach, again, within that first 3 weeks after he passed, this big luminous energy on the beach. And I knew it was him. Jen had stepped away for a few minutes, and so it was just me with the trees and Skip's energy with the beach. But so when Isaiah came to the party, because and I had texted him the picture of the cockroach because he knows the whole cockroach story. And so I'm like, Skip's been here with me all afternoon. And so when he's walking up to the house, right in the driveway, right across Isaiah's path, another big cockroach. And he's like, yep, he's here.
That's
So
crazy.
so that the cockroaches, well, and what's funny about it is that because he was in pest control, the cockroaches are even
Oh
more
my God,
like,
I totally, yes, I didn't even put that part to
yeah,
it as well, but
yeah.
that's, of
So it's
course,
multifaceted. Um, he he also would come to me with certain scents. I would know he was around smells. And
smells.
yeah, in our past loved ones, they can do this where the first time that I noticed it, so I was in the Ohana by myself, and it's a big, massive space. There was no source for this, but I all of a sudden smelled dirty socks. like after your
Mm.
feet have been sweating all day long in
Which he
um,
probably happened to
socks.
him. Yep. Yep.
Well, and so he used to come home after working all day, take his shoes off, and his feet would just stink like dirty socks. And so I'm smelling this, and I'm like, okay, I know you're here, Skip, but let's
Wow.
can I'm like, can we change the smell to something a little more pleasant?
Like maybe your cologne or or your
So
favorite food.
so actually the next time that he came as a smell, he did change it to one that was a very familiar smell for him. He was a daily pot smoker, and so that smell of marijuana was right there. It wasn't my neighbors, it was definitely him being there. Yeah. He comes to me in numbers, and I'm like, okay, can we do something different than the cockroaches too? I mean, maybe one every now and then is fine. And so dragonflies have been a big one.
I would prefer a dragonfly over a cockroach every day, every day. Wow. So people like, I just want everyone listening, like the way a loved one could show up, it could be different, right? It could be different for everybody. So you were seeing things, you were smelling things, like
Right.
so
And
all these different ways he was communicating.
yeah, he also came through my different Pandora radio stations. Like there would be very specific songs. Like I'd be driving in the car and I could feel his energy in the car with me. And then a certain song would come on, and I know that, that was purposeful as well. And even the other night at the party, I had his Depeche Mode Pandora station on because that was his favorite. And the songs were so specific, like the words of the songs, so specific to him and me and his death even.
And they're not, it's not a playlist, it's the radio station, right? The Depeche Mode radio. And so you have no
Right.
control over what's coming up. Yeah.
Correct.
So songs too. Yeah. Wow. Ooh.
Yeah. I know some people like they'll get messages, coins from their loved ones, like if you find a coin on the ground, they can do that, or feathers or other
I was just gonna
kinds
say
of,
feathers. I was just gonna say
yeah.
feathers. Yeah. 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 So signs. And then I want to go back to the question, right? I think we need to spend a little more time there. I know that you were calm, you were sad, but your whole world probably kind of felt like
It,
it disintegrated and fell apart. And so like how did you deal with that? Like I know that for a lot of people you can go into shock. You can, I mean, even if you have the spiritual
right.
understanding, we still have our human self that has a
Exactly.
has yeah.
Yeah. Well, so um I was I was very fortunate the first 3 weeks to have Jennifer there with me, who helped me. Like she was my gatekeeper for people because a lot of people wanted to project their energy onto the situation. They thought maybe they were being helpful, but a lot of it wasn't helpful. And so that's one thing I needed to do, was maintain my environment because I couldn't handle other people's projections
I find
of,
that I just want to pause for a minute because this is really important for everyone to hear, whether it's a suicide or whether it's they died of an illness or a car accident, however the loss happened, however the death happened. I hear this all the time, Lisa, that people I know they're maybe being well-meaning or they don't know what to say, but yes, they're projecting their own grief or their own
yeah,
belief systems, right?
right.
Like even like a lot of people especially with suicide, I'm going to say, almost blame in some way the person that is left behind, whether it's a
Yes,
parent or a partner. And I find
yes.
that I'm mortified by that, but I hear that.
Yeah, actually, Skip's twin brother, he was the big one who was trying to blame me for it because I know he had a lot of survivor guilt himself because The day that Skip passed, he had tried calling his brother and had to leave a voicemail. His brother didn't call him back until the very next morning, and then it was too late. But so I know
Wow.
that
Oh,
he
wow. He
had,
called his brother.
but he was making plans for the weekend. Like he had made plans for going running with friends and playing pickleball and golfing. So the whole weekend was going to be filled with that kind of activity. He had called a plumber to fix a problem we were having. He called the handyman to help him switch out the ceiling fans that I wanted replaced. Like he had been calling people all afternoon and then texting me like, "Hey, I want to come over to the condo." So
Right. So I'm getting this like, yeah, it was very
it was
like a
like
switch, like some kind of switch.
it was. And I felt like a detective afterwards trying to figure out like what happened. And my daughter, she and her boyfriend at the time, they were the first ones to have this intuitive hit of that it was actually a marijuana induced psychosis that happened.
That can happen?
Yeah. I didn't know
Wow.
it could. I didn't know it could, but yes. And then my mentor and friend, Sunny Dawn Johnston, who is a psychic medium, that's what she was getting that he was just spiraling, spiraling, spiraling. And so what can happen with pot is that if you are smoking more and more, and I think what was happening is he was smoking and then his mind was just still, so he was trying to smoke more to calm his mind down. And then at some point there can be a flip and then it's like total psychoses. Yeah.
Wow, I did
And
not
I
know that.
Googled it to make sure because I'm like, I've never heard of that, but it's real.
No, and I've had pretty plenty pot smoking boyfriends, so yeah, I've never heard of that. That might explain some of their behavior, but yeah, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
um
So nobody, I mean, he had no signs.
no,
So for
no.
people to come and like blame you, it's so
Right.
heartbreaking.
Right.
You're already in how much grief.
Yeah.
And then there's people that are, pointing the finger. It's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah. So keeping certain
Boundaries, space.
boundaries, major boundaries was huge, so that I could process in my own way. And we had to, I mean, you don't think about when someone passes, like all the logistical things that you have to take care of.
I can't imagine. I mean, here you are in grief, and then there's all these logistical things. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know. Yeah.
And so, again, fortunately, Jen was holding my hand the whole way, and with her help, I was able to get through it. But like for me, and I needed her to do this, I had to stop all of my work. I had to cancel all of my clients and my tours because I needed to focus inward, right? And we went to the beach every single day because the sand and the water is so healing. And so that really helped regulate my nervous system. And formerly, my profession was home stage or interior designer. And so I know how the energy of a space needs to be transformed. And so Jen and a couple other people did some energetic clearing. And then she helped me physically clear out his stuff because I needed to transmute that energy and I needed to reclaim the space for me. And
And I know
so
that's hard for a lot of people, though, right? They want to hold on to the
they
stuff
do.
because it almost is like then they haven't left. Like it's this weird thing, right? But it's common.
It
It's really
it
common. So that
it
must
is
have been.
it's very common. And again, like energetically, I knew that I couldn't do that because it would keep me stuck in the energy of that loss. And so, and then I had three vehicles that I had to release to the world that were his. I mean, just lots of logistics, right? And for me, like the processing, because he and we liked to dance, and I'm a former dancer. I I would turn the music on, and I would to move my energy, I would dance and
Mm,
sing and cry and just to move that energy.
Yeah,
And
I think a lot of us need that, like, whether it's a movie or I love songs too, for me, very, very much help me release emotion.
yeah. Well, and yeah, and then I was watching movies that had kind of grief themes, and my daughter, she was like, "Mom, stop watching these. They're making you sadder." I'm like, "No, it's
They're
not
helping
making me
me
sadder."
release.
Yeah. Yeah. And then one of the things that I did, which was very cathartic, which is then kind of what turned into part of the book, is that after Jen left and I didn't have someone there all the time to talk to, I would, if I felt like I needed to get something out, I would voice memo in my phone and I
I
would
love
like
that.
real time emotion. Because number one, I knew that because I've written other books that this was likely going to turn into a book, but and after the fact, we forget like the real vulnerable, raw emotions that were there. And so I wanted to have something that would be like real time emotions that I was going through to remind myself even how far I've come, whether it was going to be a book or not. But I had some amazing spiritual epiphanies in those voice memos too. So it was like
Mm.
it was so interesting because there was great sadness and the grief and all the pain and vast spiritual wisdom simultaneously. And so, being multidimensional, but then also living this human life, yeah, it's
Well, and
very,
we're here to integrate that, but yeah, yeah, it's not easy.
yeah.
It's not easy to do that. I love the voice memo. I feel like sometimes you just can't write
Mm-hmm.
to get it out enough.
Right.
Like the voice is so powerful. So I
Yeah.
love that you used a voice recorder. I've done that for other things, but I never thought that to do it for something like this. And that makes total
Yeah.
sense. And I'm going to use that.
Well, it was faster energy processing than writing because I couldn't write as fast as I needed to get that energy moving.
Yeah, we can talk a lot faster than we can write, or at
Yeah.
least I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like I was using all the tools that I knew. I was also doing, I went to a breathing ceremony. I was getting massage. Like I was doing a lot of self-care stuff because not only did I lose my husband, but I had to still be a mom. And
Yeah.
so
How
I
old were
had
your kids at that time?
so my daughter, she was had just turned 17 at the time, and my son, he was 15. And my son, he didn't live with us here. He lived with his dad in Washington. So, and he was great because even as a 15-year-old, he would call me every day and just to make sure I was okay. He was so sweet during that time. And yeah, so my daughter, she had to go through her own grieving process. This was her stepdad, but he had been in our lives for 8 years. And so
Long time,
fortunately, yeah,
especially when they're young, right?
yeah,
Especially so she was like 10,
yeah,
9.
9,
Wow.
yeah, when he came in. And back in Olympia, when my kids were still young and sweet before the teenage years hit, um, they had so much fun with Skip. He would play basketball with them. He even built a basketball court at our house for them. He would take them to fly the drones and go get ice cream and like, don't tell mom. And, you know, so now they realize like what a great stepdad he was to them and how great he was to me as a partner. And so they could see that love and really and then hold that like, okay, mom, this is your new
This is your measuring stick. You're not going to settle, mom. Aw,
right. Yeah.
so protective of you.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So I'm curious too, like we are, I'm going to talk a little bit about identity, right? So
mhm,
when we're with somebody for, you know, however many years it is, it's like our identity gets more enmeshed.
Yes.
And so when that person then is gone, again, however they left the planet, it feels, I would guess it would feel like I don't know, kind of a loss that you lost part of yourself,
Yeah.
or I don't know who I am anymore, or because I felt
Well,
that way even when someone didn't die and I lost and we just broke up. Like I still felt that way.
yeah. When it's so interesting because when I first met Skip, um, I had this like instantaneous recognition, soul recognition, not his physical body, but the soul recognition. And I'm like, I know him. How do I? And we've had multiple lives together. And so, and I know that the
And how did
love,
you know that? How did you know that?
oh,
Because
well,
I know people are going to be wondering. So,
okay. Well, part of the work I do is past parallel life regression therapy. And I would get these visions myself
mm,
of different lives and experiences. And so, but I had that same recognition when I met Isaiah, like right away. I'm like, oh yeah, I know you. And so,
I've had that. Yeah, I felt that way with Mike. Absolutely.
yeah.
Like just a
And then,
weird familiarity.
yeah. And then even actually Mila's dad, so my daughter's dad, for when I met him, same thing. Like I'm like, yeah, I know you. And he was like, I know you. And we had a simultaneous memory of a life, the
Mm,
exact life, on our first date. So I have, because of the spiritual work I've done for so many years, when I'm paying attention, I can be pretty tuned in to that kind of information. And so with Skip, it was like, okay, we we've had so many lives together, and again, I understand soul contract agreements. What's a few years before he died, I actually was getting these premonitions that he was not going to live a long time. And
wow.
I thought he was just going to create an illness or maybe get killed on his motorcycle. Again, never suicide. And I didn't know why I was having these premonitions. And I was telling Jen, like, God, I'm having these things pop in and I got to make it stop. And so then after he died, I was like, Jen, do you remember when I told you that? She's like, I totally remember that. You telling me that you didn't think he was going to live very long.
You know,
And
it's a blessing and a curse sometimes, right? When we have this kind of these gifts, because that's not easy guidance to come in.
it isn't, especially when we don't know the timing or the how, I mean, even if we did know the timing and the how, that would still make it really hard because
I
then
think it
you're
would
like
suck
walking
even
on
more.
eggshells. Yeah, you're walking on eggshells, like, oh my gosh. And
Counting down the
so,
days. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so it's been an interesting process, but what I had to really check in with myself, because again, I'm like, okay, am I even supposed to be doing this galactic work still? Like what am I doing?
Who
And
am I? What am I doing?
yeah,
What is the meaning of life? Because I think that's when we lose
right.
somebody, and especially in a more tragic way, I'm going to say it really is a shake you
Yeah,
up.
yes. And again, because my ideal reality would have been that we were together for the rest of our lives, not his life. And um and we were going to grow old together and all that. And so when that didn't happen, and here, like, I was 50, and I'm like, okay, I'm only 50. I'm a young 50. I still have many years of my life left. What's this next book going to be of my life? Because I felt like that closed out a full volume of my life.
Feels like
And
that. Like, yeah, when you say that, I get
yeah,
the chills. Absolutely.
yeah, and that now, okay, now what am I creating in this new reality? And we were talking before we started recording about how most of my friend group shifted after. So the identity of who Lisa and Skip were as a couple and the friends that we had as a couple and that he had, are no longer a part of this reality of Lisa because, um, I'm very choosy about who's in my energy field now because I try to keep this higher vibrational state because I'm helping be the bridge of 3D to 5D and the awakening process. And so I have to do that for myself first if I'm going to help other people. And so there were people in our world. They're very lovely people. It's not, I don't have anything against them. It's just the conversations were not inspiring. There was nothing that was inspiring in that. And so
Or more
I
heavy, it feels like, yeah.
yeah, I had to be willing to let it go. And when we're shifting timelines, whether we lose someone or not, sometimes those people will naturally fade away in one way or another. And if we really want to ascend to those higher vibrational levels, then we have to prepare ourselves that that's okay. There is no good or bad or right or wrong in it. And we can still hold love for them, but yeah. So even you saw
Whether
the,
they're, like whether they're physically on the planet or not anymore, right?
right.
Like in terms
Exactly.
of bigger loss, right? Sometimes it's
Yeah.
just no one's good or bad. It's just we're not in alignment anymore.
Right. Yeah. It's not frequency specific because like attracts like. And so, um, yeah. So I only have a few friends from the skip era that have come along with me. And I have really been able to curate my environment, my house environment, my friend environment, my multidimensional reality. Like everything is curated very specifically to help me with my energy and to help me be able to not stuff things down. Like before I did the deep dive healing, I would compartmentalize and dissociate and stuff and all the things. And, you
Most
know,
of us, that's what most do on the planet, right? Until we learn not to, but it's a
yeah,
common pattern. Absolutely.
yeah. And so now I've learned, okay, if there's something coming up, some emotion or whatever, that I need to let it come up and just flow through. And grief, it's not a linear thing at all. It's spirals, it's dip, loop de loops. And so even though I had done massive processing of the emotions, um, writing the book, so back in May of this year, he told me very loudly through Lisa Williams, psychic medium Lisa Williams, finish the book. She's like, do you know what book he's talking about? I'm like, yeah, the one about him. And so
Um,
Um, so finishing the book brought up new emotions and having to reread what I had written in
can
the editing
imagine.
process really brought up even more emotions. And I know that this is something that you and some of your audience can relate with. So um, what really like the deep down emotion was not being wanted. Okay, so you and I, we've talked about our parental issues.
Yeah.
And so my mother, she didn't want to have me. She was never going to have kids. So even in the womb, I'm getting that energy of not being wanted. And so that energetically has been pervasive throughout my life. And so then it like all these emotions were coming up, and one of my other friends who's very psychic, she got this word unwanted, and I'm like, oh my god, that makes total sense because
Right? Because when they
I,
leave, then we feel
mhm,
like, yeah,
yes, like okay, once again I'm not wanted.
I wasn't wanted and that's why he left, right?
Yeah,
That's that
yeah,
very young part of us. That's what they believe. They believe if, for whatever reason, like whether it's accident, illness, suicide, whatever it is, like if somebody leaves the planet,
yeah,
it's our, or just leaves in general, it's our fault. We're not
yeah,
wanted. Wow.
yeah. And so that's something that like I over the last 3 months, that deep emotion has physically been expressing in my body. And it's like my body was ready to release it, but it was showing me, okay, there's more stuff that wants to be released. And so, because of the way that it was physically expressing, I did this 3-month period where I didn't eat out at restaurants. I had to eat super clean. I did a colon cleanse, a liver detox, a parasite cleanse. And and so it's like my body was transmuting and releasing these old, like almost 53 years of
Oh yeah.
emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, and even one of my friends that I see every week, she's like, you look different than you did 3 months ago.
Wow.
She's,
Yeah. And I didn't know you before, so I can't speak to that, but I believe it. People that happens. Like that
yeah,
happens when you release old belief systems, stuck
yeah,
emotions.
yes,
Absolutely. You can look younger for sure
yeah,
and lighter.
younger and lighter. And so energetically lighter, physically, I'm lighter. It's like all the stress that I was carrying is finally being released.
Um,
Yeah. And what I have realized recently is that and Skip made this comment through Lisa as well as a couple of the other psychics of like he he knew that I was kind of a burden, like he was another child to me in a lot of ways.
mm,
And I didn't think of him like that, but when he said that, I was like, well,
wow.
there are there's some truth to that. Um, and so now, as of last weekend, I became an empty nester. My daughter, she moved out of the
Oh,
house.
she finally moved out. Good for her.
She did. And so now it's like, okay,
Now there's another phase, right? Because it's you, yourself, and you now.
yeah,
Even that facade you might have had to put up for your daughter, right?
yeah,
That's gone now too. So, wow. And when did she
yeah.
leave?
Last weekend.
So this is fresh. And around the same time that the book launched. That is
Oh,
so
the
crazy.
same day.
Hey, wow.
I, yeah, I know. And what's interesting, so the book launch date was master number 22 in numerology. Skip's favorite number is 22 or was 22 because his birthday was April 22nd and that was his lucky number is 22. My daughter, her favorite number is 22 because she's July 22, her birthday. And so 22 being the master number day that the book comes out and my daughter becomes a real adult.
Yeah, that's crazy. All the synchronicities. Divine timing, divine timing. So I know that I just want to give people an option if they have any questions for you. So
Okay.
if
Yeah.
you and then we'll keep chatting. But this is a great time if anyone has a question for Lisa that you can either put it in the chat or you can raise your hand. If you don't know how to raise your hand and you can't find it because Zoom is moving shit all the time, you can
Mhm.
just put your video on and wave um, if you can't find if you can't find.
Well, the other thing I just want to share is that so September of 23 is when he passed. Then my mother died February of 24. So just a few months later.
Wow,
And then
wow,
one of my cats died the next month, March of 24. So it's like
wow.
three in a row.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's intense.
And I'm an only child. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes it
And
even more. Wow. Yeah. So I just want to first, Amanda's got her hand raised. We're going to go to you in a minute, Amanda. But Christina Corey, I just want to read. She says, thank you for sharing your story and grief experiences. It's helpful to hear your story since I'm experiencing grief and loss of loved one as well. And your
thank you.
necklace is beautiful. What is your necklace?
So this big one, this is an Andara crystal. And then
Mm,
the smaller one is blue apatite.
blue what?
Blue apatite.
I don't think I've heard of that.
Oh,
And what is
oh.
that? What is that
It's
do
like
for you?
It's a teal. It does similar. So what these do is it's a combination of heart and throat chakra,
Mm.
a teal color, and so it allows me to speak from my heart.
I didn't know that teal did that. No wonder I like wearing teal. I got my necklace on today too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, let's go to Amanda. Amanda, I'm going to pin you and then I'm going to ask you to unmute. I think we did
Can
it.
you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, we
hi.
can. Hi.
Um, so I wanted to say really quick, I had chills when you were talking about the number 22.
Mm.
I have always considered that number to be my lucky number because I was adopted on April 22nd. So
Oh, wow.
I had chills with that. But I did have a question. So I was listening to your story and not quite the same, but some similarities with one of my family members. She was murdered
Okay.
and it's still unsolved. And I'm also very new to this spiritual stuff. It's only been 2 years. So I don't make connections easily. I think sometimes I see like I'm also really connected to animals and bugs. So I see a lot through them, but I don't I had her she was murdered April 24th,
Mm.
2023, and then I had to let my dog go May 28th of 24, and I'm still just struggling with both of these losses. I don't feel connected to my dog in any way, and we still have no answers for my cousin. And I'm just wondering, for someone so new like me, is there a way I can connect with them
Yeah.
to like get, I don't even know if I could get answers, I guess just reassurance.
Yeah. First of all, so sorry. That is such a difficult situation that you were going through. So my love and heart to you.
Thank you.
And um, so one of the ways for me, especially when we're in that kind of deep grief, it can be harder to connect with the loved ones. And so for me, what was very helpful was actually working with psychic mediums so that they were, I wasn't getting mixed messages through myself, like I was getting it from an external source. And I know that um, in all of my experiences, all the things that I know, like our loved ones, even though the body isn't here, they are in a really good place. They're back home in spirit. They oftentimes they'll come and choose a new life too, because we're really multidimensional. But that would be one thing. I also, though, I do have, and I'll put this in the chat as well. I do have a free um, the Love That Remains gift that has a meditation and some other tools to help you that would actually give you some ways to connect with both of them, and that's completely free.
Yeah, I would
So
love if so. Yeah, please do put that link in.
yeah,
I don't think it's the link you gave me, the
it's
Awaken
not.
Activate Now. No.
No, that's a different free gift.
Okay.
But
I think this one would be, yeah,
I
this
I
one.
spelled it wrong. Hold on. The Love That Remains.com. Okay, there we go. Yeah, forget that first one that I put in. Yeah,
Awesome.
so
Let's do
there's,
it.
I'll delete. Okay, so that's the real one. So, yeah. So I think just acknowledging that you do want that connection and then no trust that you can get it, because actually in that free gift, one of the meditation is a journey to help you meet in a space where you can connect with those past loved ones.
Oh,
and whether it's human or animal. Animals like coming through, especially dogs. They love coming through.
yeah. Thank you so much for that. I think that's going to be really beneficial. So there's
Thank
a,
you.
for everyone, the link's in there, Amanda, and everybody listening. And um, you said it's a meditation, Lisa, and
It's three PDFs and a meditation.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Sounds really valuable. Sounds really valuable. Amanda, any other questions?
Okay. Well,
All right,
love.
sweetie. Sending you lots of love. It's so, man, especially, I mean, when you have one, that's going to take you down. And then you've got, right? It's like, and especially when there are people that are so close, right?
Hmm.
Like, I don't know, my dogs were my children, so since I didn't have children. And I know, Amanda, you feel that way too. And I know a lot of people feel that way as well. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and unpin you, sweetie. And yeah, I'm glad that that came up, Lisa, because you had given me a different gift, but I think this one is really going to be great for everybody. That not that they're all not great, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. Anybody else have any questions for Lisa?
Say Joyce.
Joyce.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So it was really interesting for me to hear, Tanya, that as soon as your partner died, you had to clear everything of his out of your space. And my son took his life. My only child took his life about 2 years ago. Um, I'm I'm pretty sure that his wife had some sort of personality disorder, narcissistic. We don't know that for sure. I watched him be belittled and humiliated and over 3, 4, 5 years, and being a huge empath himself, he was always trying to help her. Um, but the whole idea, and because that's what she did, um, she had taken the whole family, the children, she had taken the children away from him. And she had gone to Florida on vacation without him. And that's the next day, then, or 2 days later, he took his life. And there was no information. No, I had no idea. I knew that he was extremely down, but so when she came back from Florida, she did the same thing, and it upset so many people. And now you're saying that that was really needed for you. And I'm trying to forgive her for everything she did. I'm on my third book, and I'm forgiving her for me, so that I don't have the hate, the resentment, all of that. But it's just interesting that you said that somebody else had to do that. And I'm not sure she's sensitive about that. I don't know why she did it. I don't know why she did it. She had to do some fast track thinking about how she was going to manage everyone in her life because of what she did. Leave him. So I don't know if you can help me with that. I have a lot of his things left, and I have pictures all over my house of him. He was my soulmate, and I do believe he's helping me. It feels like he's helping me all the time. I had a dream within about 2 months, and I actually touched him. I actually felt his back, and he was sitting with me looking at the journals. He was 36 when he died, and then while we were looking at the journals, it was just sweet. His 6-year-old self also came and looked at the journals. I actually touched him, so I know I'm open to all of this, and it's fascinating to me. But I don't know if you have any other words of wisdom about. And my daughter-in-law she seems fine. Um, she's actually seems better.
Mm.
Um, he he was more liked by her family than she was. And I saw that, and the sister-in-laws told me that. So I want to get rid of the blame. I want to get rid of all that for me and just remember and I might have involvement with my grandchildren as much as I can. So,
So the forgiveness, definitely it's for you.
mhm,
Any time, and I know Tanya and we've talked about this quite a bit with our families, and really the forgiving, it's not for the other person, it's for us, right?
right.
Because that's very heavy, dense energy. And I don't know what you understand about how we come and play different roles for each other in different lives. And so even though she perhaps is a narcissist and did all the belittling, what I've come to understand in my toxic relationships where I was kind of in the victim role was that I signed up for that with those
Yeah.
people so I could
Mhm.
learn and grow and evolve. And so now I can thank them. Thank you for being that person for me. And I've been able to move out of it and
And
help
the
other people.
noble adversary, right? The noble adversary, we can call those people.
Yes. Yeah. And so I don't know if that understanding of it helps you at all. Just like you came to be his mom, he chose you as your mom, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
you chose him as your son, and
Mhm.
there are other lives that you guys play different roles for each other,
Right.
right?
I had several messages in my lifetime with him that he wasn't going to live a long life
Okay.
from the
Wow, I
time he
just
was
got the chills.
Me
at
too.
least two or three.
Yeah.
And when I found him, oh, I'm going to cry. I found him, and he was a veterinarian, so he euthanized himself. It wasn't painful,
Okay.
and so I found him, and I panicked right away. I don't know how long. I would say 30 seconds, and then there was this incredible peace, and calm, and he wasn't in pain anymore.
Right.
And so I hang on to that because I had so much more. I wanted to be with them so much more. For the rest of my life. I'm 74, and but I'm getting all this. It's not taking that long. It hasn't even been 2 years. But I like I want to learn about having contact with the other side.
Yeah.
Um,
And we
and
all
so
have the ability. We all have the ability to do it.
yeah, I'd like to learn how to do that.
Yeah. Um, and then you talked about having his stuff around you and all his photos. And I would
Yeah.
say, for me, it it was a really dense energy to have that stuff in my space, but for you, it may be a totally different experience. It may
Okay.
bring you joy. And so there is no right or wrong way to do
Mhm.
this at all.
Okay.
Everyone's on a different journey with it.
I'm
Mhm.
glad you said
I
that,
see.
Lisa. Because, yeah, Joyce, I was really feeling like for you, it was different. Like your son's actually bringing you
Yeah.
Mhm,
energy by having, yeah.
mhm. And I have pictures of him at all ages. So, there's a picture of him in high school looking right at me with his tennis racket. And I look at that picture and I finally put a little sticky on there because that picture, I can just imagine he would say, "Hi, Mumsy." And so I do have all those, I have all those wonderful memories. I mean, my son, everybody loved him, everyone loved him. And it's such a loss, but it was time. I know it was time. And it makes me mad, but it was time. And he couldn't be on this earth any longer. I know that.
Yeah, well, and this right now, over the last few years, the energy of Earth is getting really, really intense and it's even
Yes.
amplifying more. And a lot of people are consciously and unconsciously choosing to check out because
Yeah.
the energy is too intense here.
Yes. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. This has been a wonderful, wonderful experience tonight. And I'm going to get your book, definitely.
Thank you, Joyce. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Thank you, Lisa. I'm going to go ahead and unpin. I think just having a space, right, where we can talk about these things. Not everyone is, you know, open and willing to do that.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty special to have, yeah, to be able to hold the space to do that. And
And
I think, yeah, go ahead. Mhm.
oh, I just wanted to say, I think one of the differences between losing like a spouse or partner as opposed to losing a child, like if I had lost my daughter or my son, I think it would have been a very different kind of like I probably would keep stuff more as that. But as an adult and going through many different relationships throughout my adult life, it's like had I held on to that stuff, it would keep me from moving forward in my adult life.
Right. Totally, it's very different partner versus child or sibling, or it just
Yeah.
depends, right? Because I'm just thinking like when we break up with somebody, we don't typically keep their pictures all around our living room. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, so I think it's very different, the partner versus the child
Hmm.
thing. So I'm glad you talked about that. All right, we're going to take one more question. I know that we're past our time, so thank you, Lisa. Is it okay if we take one more
Oh,
question?
yes, yes, definitely.
Wonderful. All right, my dear. I don't want to slaughter your name, so I'm going to first
It's
add pin.
Aparajita. It's Aparajita. That's okay. I'm used to it. But thank
Mhm.
you for letting me speak. Like, I wasn't sure if I really want to say about this, but this is about a living person who has become someone like almost like. So I was in two minds whether to go about asking for this or not. It's about my ex-husband, and it's like he was a very different person when we were in the marriage, and especially his attitude towards my daughter. He was like, it's very heartbreaking now the way he has completely turned into a stranger. And oftentimes I'm in like I used to think myself to be very um, lucky in the sense like there used to be a lot of red flags, but I used to overlook them. But I used to feel that he is a very good father, if not anything else. And when my daughter, she was a baby, he was the one who used to take care of her more than me. And when things fell apart and abuse and all that stuff happened, it's okay. I can understand things happen between couples, but the way he has completely turned like a stranger towards her, it breaks my heart to see her go through that, all of that. And I the person whom we used to think like we love a lot and who loves us a lot, but even to think like this, like when somebody actually dies and we feel like talking to them and asking them how are they. Like when I lost my dad, and the way my mom held on to his things, and I can still see the way that dynamics is. But right now with a living person who is doing well, but he's absolutely an absent father, not available, and it's so heartbreaking. So that's a very I know, don't know, like it often seems like he's a dead person to us, and it's I don't know how to deal with that kind of grief.
Yeah, that I'm so sorry to hear that for you and your daughter. And how old is she?
She's 17.
Okay. So again, sometimes it just comes down to even we play these different roles for each other to learn different lessons to help us in our life. And I don't know exactly what their contract would have been, um, but it's something that it's happening for her if she can move through it. And I know that as a 17-year-old, again, having teenagers myself, they're not emotionally mature enough in a lot of ways to process those emotions. And does she have anyone to talk to about it? And do you have anyone
Um,
to talk too?
Means she has friends, and I even tried therapy with her, but she didn't want to go through. And she said, "I don't need therapy." She is very artistic, and she often sketches. And I realized, because I'm also a writer myself, so I know everybody don't need therapy. We all have our different ways.
Yeah.
So, but is it wrong to think like I will be very clear about it? Maybe I may be judged for it, but sometimes because he has done very, very bad, unthinkable things for which he has fallen in front of our eyes. And more than me, it's her heart has been completely broken, because it was him. She used to look up as a father, as a man, and she had even decided not to go into relationships. And
Mm.
sometimes I had this, like when we were in the marriage and everything, like I always, just like any other wife, I always wanted his well-being and all good for him. But right now I think maybe it would have been good if he could have left this world as a respectable man than being such a bad father and people talking all bad. And she feels bad if somebody speaks, "Oh, your dad this and that."
Right. That's really
So,
hard.
and
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about this. And losing someone to through death is such a heartbreaking thing, and this is something,
Different heartbreak.
I
Different.
mean, I don't know which one is worse.
Well, we don't compare, number one, right?
Right.
We don't compare heartbreaks. Loss is loss. So I think everything that Lisa, I mean, what I feel is everything that Lisa has shared, you're going to still need to go through that grieving process as if he has died,
Yeah.
right? Because that's how deep the loss is.
Yes.
So I think, we need the spiritual side, right, Lisa, to pull us through and give us that strength.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have to show up and still let that human, very, very human part of us feel and release those emotions.
Yeah. And I mean, as long as you and your daughter are allowing those emotions to process and flow instead of keeping them stuck in the body, that's
Yeah.
really the most important thing. Because when those emotions get stuck, that's when we get sick. We get our own diseases and illness. And
Yeah.
so,
I
and our
try
body,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I?
because
Mhm. Yeah,
so
sorry.
she has learned a lot of things in the past few years, and cooking and stuff. And she's a person who doesn't express much, but once or twice she started crying, saying that her dad don't be even willing to come and have, like, taste the food she has prepared, like thinking of someone who is alive and doing well. And I also started crying with her, and she said, "I'm sorry I made you cry." But I said, "No, it's okay, let us cry through this and think
Yes.
about good times and all that." And
Yeah.
And,
Well,
and I think too, sorry, Lisa, go ahead.
go.
Oh, I was just going to say that the other thing I'm really feeling, like when something, and I can speak from experience, right, with a father who, but we have no interaction at this point, and how heartbreaking it is, right, that has happened, and to remind ourselves and our, all of our parts, that it's not because we're not good enough, it's not because we're not lovable, because that's almost automatically what we pick up when that happens, especially a parent, right? So I think to really remind her of that too, right? That there's something, he's got some unresolved stuff.
yeah,
It's not you.
Right. And she's so lucky to have you as her mom.
I try. And
Yeah.
I'm lucky to have her, because she had been with me through all this. She could have easily chosen him over me. But yeah, thank you for your time. But I needed to let, and I had to wait because she was around in this room, and I didn't want to speak about it in front of her. Thank you.
Yeah, that's being a good mom too.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you for this
Ah,
time.
you're so welcome. Wow, we could go on and on. Lisa, thank you again for being here with us and sharing on this, again, really sensitive topic, right? This
Well,
is not easy to talk about.
No, and I mean, so many people are going through it in so many different ways. And so our society, I think we haven't normalized talking about this from
which
the
is
different,
crazy. Just so
yeah.
crazy, right?
And so thank you for having a space, a safe space for the conversation to be had.
Yeah, you're welcome. And thank you for sharing vulnerably, and everybody who's here live today who was holding this container, right? Whether you
Yeah.
shared or not, thank you for all the brave souls that shared and all the people that are here holding the safe container. That's really important. And let's make this more normal, right? Where we can share about grief. And I don't care how long it's been. If I still think about my dog, who was like my child, I still can feel tearful. And he died in 2008, right? Or my grandma, who raised me for the first 10 years of my life, and she died in 2015. Like, right? Like grief can come and go,
Yeah.
right? It's not a one and done thing. And I think in a culture that I do think it's changing, but it's still like you should be over that by now. Like it's been a year, or it's been 2 years, or it's been 3 years, and you should be over that. Like, no, we might never be over it, right? We might always have the emotion, and that's okay. So I just felt guided to say that as well. So everyone, you can go ahead again and grab Lisa's free gift. I'm going to put the book and the gift. I love that. Where did, oh,
Yeah. And if anyone like Janice has suicide grief survivor group or any other kind of grief groups, feel free to share that gift, like the book, whatever.
the more people, the more, right? The more we can get this
Yeah.
information out there, the better. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very different book than what I normally have written. And so but like Skip said, finish the book.
Thanks, Skip. Because so many people need this. We need this. So thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you know somebody else that might benefit from today's live podcast, feel free to share it with them. The replay link will be coming out by tomorrow. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lisa. And just sending so much compassion to everybody. This is, yeah, this planet right now is not easy. And like you said, Lisa, more and more people are leaving, whether it's accident, illness, suicide, because it is so intense. So
Yeah.
we definitely are going to need everything you talked about today, because it's probably going to amp up. So, all right, everybody, have a nurturing rest of your day. Sending you a lot of love and hope to see you soon. Namaste.